First, jack up the truck underneath the differential housing, and be sure to use jack stands. Next, make sure you have a comfortable seat to work from. You can use a regular tire iron to remove the wheel, but I prefer take the lug nuts and set them aside. Remove the wheel. And roll it aside, exposing your disc brakes and caliper. Now that the caliper pin bolts are out, with one of your larger screwdrivers, pry out the caliper. It may be a little stiff, but wiggle it and it will release. Okay, more prying may be necessary, but it will eventually somehow come out. Just keep persisting at it. Get the screwdriver in there. It'll come out. I thought I'd put a little addition on here. One of the things that I forgot to mention, there's a little hole here. And when you take the caliper off, you can put your big screwdriver in there, right? And you can try to pry in here and push that piston back a little bit. And what that'll do, that'll allow you to go ahead and peel this caliper off a whole lot easier than the struggle that I had my lapse of memory from the 1980s. But that's basically pro tip. Now that the caliper is out of the way, get a screwdriver in and work the brake pads free, both sides. Next, remove the brake shims right here. New ones come with the brake pads. There's another one on the bottom, also needs to be removed. Since it has a significant edge here, I'm going to take this rotor off, this disc off, and caliper it. As you can see, my maximum is written right here, and it is set at somewhere along here. With the rotor off, I'm able to see that it has a minimum thickness of 20.4 millimeters. Currently, let's get a measure of it. The micrometer is reading 0.8213 inches. Let's convert that to millimeters. So that works out to 20.8 millimeters, which is within specs. I'm going to keep them. Next time, for sure, they have to be replaced. Okay, the next step is to compress this piston back into the cylinder. You can do that one of two ways. If you don't have a special tool, well, you get this big old and then you just give it a squeeze. It'll eventually go in if you don't have the special tool. And just let it squeeze. Squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it. That's the way I do it sometimes when I can't find my tool. I couldn't exactly find the right one, but I found something similar. So what I have here is, it's a puller. It's a multi-purpose puller, flywheel puller, if you will. And then I just simply put my pneumatic tool over the top of it. All right, now that I got it going the right way, you can see it kind of rests right on the edge of that piston, and it goes up against the edge of the caliper here. And just run it all the way down. That's it. All right, so I'm not able to put the pad directly inside there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this part right here off. There's two bolts that need to come out. May require some persuasion, but I have this tool. And I also have the breaker bar. All right, with this part of the caliper removed, what we're going to do is we're going to lubricate up these slides and then install these right inside there, and then put this thing back on and lubricate right here and right there, and let's do it. Okay, so I got one side slid on to the slides on this part of the caliper, and I got the little noses under the clips. Now for the other side. 2 hands. Be right back. All right, now that I got both sides on, pointed inward, curved up, now goes on to the, back onto the, just like that. And of course there's a bolt down there, a hole right there that goes, bolt goes in there, tightens it down, and then we'll put the caliper on. These particular caliper bolts, the 13-16 ones, seem to have been torqued down quite a bit in the past, and they even had the blue Loctite on there. So I'm going to give it a good pull and tighten it really well, and that'll hold on real nice. These are caliper pin bolts. They hold the caliper on. Say to lube these up with some high temperature grease. Last time I used white lithium, seemed to have held up pretty well. They still have a little bit of grease on them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Lucas Oil extra heavy duty grease, which is rated at 500 degrees Fahrenheit. The minimum recommended is 400, so 500 will do just fine. Anyway, I'm going to lube them up, and then they go in these holes that are surrounded by rubber, and that then in turn goes into that piece that we just installed. And then pretty much it's all assembled. I can go in there and press the pedal down and pinch the calipers to the disc. All right, now that the caliper's back on, the caliper pin bolts require only about 20 foot-pounds of torque. Putting the wheel back on, straightforward. If you change the tire, you know how to put a wheel on. If you wanted to do it in the shop, you'd use a torque wrench, and you would set it at alternating between, go like that, like a star pattern, and you go at 80 foot-pounds. I hope you found this entertaining, if not educational. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.